we got the real life Zorro here in Northern California. So there's a man named Joaquin Murrieta Carrillo. And I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I apologize if I did. And he came to America from Mexico during the gold rush. He moved to Sonora with his family, with his brothers and sisters and his young wife. They were young. They wanted to strike it rich in the gold rush. So him and his brother were accused of stealing a horse. And in a lot of the research I did, he was wrongfully accused. And so from that, they whipped and hung his brother. Okay. They brutally raped and murdered his wife. This is according to legend. And apparently she died in his arms and he vowed revenge. So again, according to legend, he tracked down all the people that did this to his brother and to his wife and killed them. And just like this brutal, the newspapers were following along as he's hunting down these people and killing them. A whopping $5,000 reward was put on his head, which was a ton of money back then. And apparently they caught him and killed him. Now, a lot of this is disputed because, historical fact back in the 1800s is a little difficult to follow. So a book was written about his life in 1852. It's called The Life and Adventures of Joaquin Murrieta, the Celebrated California Bandit. Now, that book was read, and let me just say, no one knows how factual that, I think the author went off a lot of stories he heard and sort of filled in a lot of the blanks. And that's why a lot of this is legend and not necessarily fact. But that book was read by Johnston McCulley, who used Joaquin Murrieta to frame his fictional book about Don Diego de la Vega, also known as Zorro.
The Masked Man.
The Masked Man. So Zorro actually comes from this bandit who cruised around Northern California gold camps, vowing revenge and killing the people who struck his family. So like I said, there's a lot of controversy around this because the book, no one knows how factual this book is. It's a lot of legend and story, but it's really cool. There's been a ton of documentaries about this guy. And of course, Zorro was turned into a 6-book series, which was then turned into probably a bazillion movies and TV shows and so on and so forth, which I love the Zorro movies.
Totally.
So, just a really cool legend. Once again, this is nothing we can actually make fact. He's strictly a story, although we know he existed. There's a lot of historical, stuff that he actually existed, but we don't know exactly what is true and what's not.
It's a really cool story. I mean, if just there's a possibility that Zorro is kind of framed after somebody from Northern California history, I think that's awesome. We grew up, our dad is a huge fan of Zorro. Yep. So we watched a lot of Zorro when we were growing up, and I still love those movies. I mean, is it The Mask of Zorro, the movie?
Yep, with Antonio Banderas. Such
a great movie.
Yep.
I mean, that holds up even to this day.
Yeah.
I might watch that maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But it's a great story. It's a cool story. I'd never heard of this story. This is one of the stories that I had never heard of that I think is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, they called him the Robin Hood of El Dorado, I believe.
That I didn't understand.
I don't either, and he wasn't like robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. Although I think for a lot of, probably, poorer Mexican people who had moved to the gold rush and had experienced some sort of racist element from these white settlers who were trying to keep all the gold for themselves, I think he was a little bit of a heroic symbol because he took matters into his own hands, and he said, no, I'm not letting you do this to me and my family. I'm going to brutally murder all of you guys.
I think Zorro's a much more accurate description of this particular
correct.
person.
Yep.
But hey, you want to call him Robin Hood? Call him Robin Hood.
Yeah, and we have a couple stories on here from the gold rush, and the gold rush was just bananas. I mean, it's the Wild West. Everyone, it's kind of like the tech boom, except you can just like shoot people down and take their money.
Oh, wow, Wild West.
And so all the stories, all the stories we see in all these Westerns kind of come from this gold rush era where there's Chinese people coming in from China to get gold. There's people coming from all over the country, Mexico, all over the world. And there's sort of this melting pot of everyone fighting over the gold that they can find and strike it rich. So it's a really cool time in Northern California. By the way, first gold nugget was found just up the road in the American River. So